In my 43 years wearing this robe in Providence, I believed I had already seen the full spectrum of humanity. I thought I knew every shade of fear, every version of regret, every face desperation could carve when poverty corners a soul. I thought nothing could surprise me anymore. I was wrong, because on the morning of October 14th, 2024, I witnessed something so disturbingly hollow, so breathtakingly cold, that it reached past anger and settled into my bones like frost. I looked into the eyes of Victoria Vance, and for the first time in my career I didn't see fear, guilt, or even arrogance. I saw nothing. She stood before me wrapped in Italian silk, diamonds catching the courtroom lights, a woman whose personal fortune exceeded $600 million. Power followed her like a shadow. Influence bent rooms around her. Wealth had insulated her from consequences her entire life. Yet that morning she was charged with a crime so devoid of basic humanity that the entire courtroom instinctively held its breath. She hadn't robbed a bank. She hadn't laundered money. She hadn't cheated the government. She had done something far worse. She allowed a living, breathing soul to die because she refused to part with $800. $800. An amount she earns in 12 seconds without lifting a finger. When I asked her to explain herself, to acknowledge the damage she caused, to offer even a flicker of remorse, she didn't cry. She didn't flinch. She didn't avert her gaze. She smiled, a precise, rehearsed smile, and then she spoke 6 words that permanently changed how I understand cruelty. But to understand why this case shattered our community, we have to go back to that Tuesday evening, before the courtroom, before the headlines, before a man lost the one soul that kept him alive.
The night everything broke. It was a classic New England autumn night, cold enough to sting the lungs, damp with the smell of rain-soaked leaves and fading summer. Streetlights along Hope Street flickered on one by one, stretching amber shadows across wet pavement. At exactly 6 p.m., Arthur Miller, 72 years old, stepped off the curb. Arthur was a retired postal worker, a widower, a man whose children lived thousands of miles away, busy building lives that no longer included daily phone calls. He was walking Buddy. Buddy was an 11-year-old golden retriever, his muzzle frosted white with age, his eyes permanently fixed on Arthur with a devotion that required no words. Buddy wasn't a pet. Buddy was the reason Arthur woke up every morning. Buddy was the sound that filled the house after his wife passed. Buddy was family. They entered the crosswalk together. The light was green. Arthur wore a reflective vest. Buddy walked close, leash short, right at his knee. I want to be painfully clear about this detail, because it matters. They followed every rule. Then, 2:30, impact. Witnesses didn't describe it as a crash. They described it as a scream, the high-pitched whine of a twin-turbo engine being pushed far beyond restraint in a 30-mile-per-hour zone. Behind the wheel of a custom silver luxury sedan sat Victoria Vance. She wasn't watching the road. Traffic cameras later revealed the glow of a smartphone illuminating her face. She was texting. She was traveling 55 miles per hour. She didn't touch the brakes until after the collision. The sound shattered the quiet evening. Arthur was clipped, spun sideways, thrown onto the sidewalk. Buddy was struck head-on. The dog's body flew nearly 15 feet, slamming into a parked van with a dull, final thud. But what defined this crime didn't happen in the impact. It happened in the 3 minutes that followed. The 3 minutes that exposed her soul. Victoria Vance stopped her car. She opened the door. She stepped into the misty rain, heels clicking against asphalt. She did not run to Arthur, who lay groaning, clutching his hip. She did not rush to Buddy, who whimpered in agony, unable to stand. She walked to the front of her car. She inspected the bumper. She traced a scratch with her finger. She cursed. Arthur, through pain and shock, crawled toward his dog. "Please," he begged. "Please help me get him to a vet. He's hurt bad." Victoria glanced at her watch. She reached into her purse, removed a business card, and flicked it toward him. It landed face down in a puddle. Call my assistant about the damage, she said. Then she got back into her car, revved the engine, and drove away, leaving an injured old man and his dying best friend alone in the rain. The call that sealed a life. A passerby helped Arthur carry Buddy to the nearest emergency veterinary clinic. Dr. Chen didn't hesitate. Internal bleeding, severe trauma, but survivable, with immediate surgery. The cost was $800 up front. Arthur had $40. Hands shaking, he dialed the number on the card. Victoria answered. He begged. He promised repayment. He pleaded for mercy. She listened. Then she hung up. Buddy died 45 minutes later, his head in Arthur's lap, while Arthur sobbed and apologized for being poor. The courtroom entrance. When the bailiff announced the City of Providence versus Victoria Vance, the room went silent. She entered like it was a fashion show. Cream-colored suit, perfectly coiffed hair, oversized sunglasses. She typed on her phone as she walked. She never once looked at Arthur Miller sitting in the front row, clutching a framed photograph of Buddy with trembling hands. She sighed at the podium. "State your name," I said. "Victoria Vance," she replied. "Judge, I have a helicopter waiting. Let's expedite this. I'll pay whatever the ticket is." I stared at her. "This is not a ticket," I said. "This is criminal court." She rolled her eyes. "It was a dog," she said. "An old one. My attorneys already sent compensation. Market value." "Market value?" I repeated. "Yes, around $50. We sent 100. My voice dropped. "You believe life has a resale price?" She checked her watch. "Everything does." The sentence that froze the room. When asked to apologize, she refused. "I won't apologize for being successful," she snapped. Then she said it, the sentence that ended her illusion of power. "I own people like you. It was just a biologically depreciating asset." 5 seconds passed. 5 seconds of absolute silence. In that moment, her wealth vanished. She was no longer a billionaire. She was simply a cruel person standing naked before justice. The verdict, the fall, and the transformation. She was found guilty. Maximum fines, restitution, license revoked, and then 90 days incarceration. No exceptions. The handcuffs clicked louder than any engine she had ever driven. In prison, she wore orange, not silk. She became a number. She was forced to listen. And slowly, painfully, something broke open. On day 60, she wrote me a letter. "I had money my whole life, but I have never mattered to anyone." When she was released, she didn't disappear. She went to Arthur Miller's home, not with a check, with an apology. She founded the Buddy Miller Emergency Vet Fund with $2 million, ensuring no animal would die for lack of money again. Arthur adopted another dog, and Victoria drove him to the shelter. The final truth. Justice isn't about revenge, it's about awakening. Money can buy silence, but not forgiveness. Power can bend rules, but not truth. And wealth without compassion is the poorest state of all. So I ask you, would you have given her jail time? Was 90 days enough? Could you forgive what Arthur forgave? Tell me in the comments. And remember, you don't need millions to be rich in spirit. You just need a heart that still knows how to care.